This is Jen Psaki, the host of The Briefing with Jen Psaki on MS Now. As the former White House press secretary for Joe Biden, Psaki had things to say about the departure of Trump White House press secretary Karoline Leavitt.
There is something that is happening in the Trump administration that I've kind of been dying to weigh in on more extensively. Because this week, White House press secretary Karoline Leavitt announced that she is officially leaving the Trump administration.
She's dying to weigh in. She talks about the Trump White House on her show almost as much as she talked in circles during her press briefings. But yes, Karoline Leavitt is leaving the White House, having served in the position for 19 months. And that means Jen Psaki finally has her moment to project her own insecurities onto someone else.
My kids were 2 and 5 years old when I went to work for President Biden as his press secretary. That's a big part of why I only stayed in that job for 15 months, because I wanted to spend time with my kids too.
And nothing says, I want to spend more time with my kids, quite like immediately taking a job hosting a television show several nights a week.
Does every press secretary screw up from time to time? Yeah, sure, I did. Are there days when you don't have all the information you need to answer every single question? Sure.
Well, that's an understatement.
I'll circle back, but I'll circle back with you. I will circle back to it. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back with you after the briefing. I'm happy to circle back with you. We will circle back with you. We'll have to take that question too and circle back with you. I hate to disappoint you, but I will have to circle back with you on that. We'll circle back with you directly, but I'm happy to circle back, but I'll have to circle back with you on it. We'll circle back with you on this. We will certainly circle back with you. I'm happy to circle back with you. We will venture to circle back with all of you on that after the briefing. I will venture to do that and circle back with you directly. I often note I'm going to circle back. I hate to disappoint conservative Twitter, but I am going to circle back.
So watching Jen Psaki sprint away from tough questions for over a year, it's pretty rich to hear her complain about Karoline Leavitt's commitment to honesty.
This was her first day and what she had to say.
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people. And that's exactly what this administration is doing.
So easy to say true things about the president because he's doing such popular things, says Karoline Leavitt, just 1 week after Trump kicked off his presidency by pardoning more than 1,000 January 6 rioters. Not popular, that thing. As are many of the other things he's done, not popular.
Notice the sleight of hand here. Psaki completely ignores Leavitt's point about speaking truth on behalf of the administration and instead pivots entirely to a subjective argument about what policies are popular. You can tell the truth about an unpopular policy, Jen. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive.
The job under this administration has never been about being a purveyor of truth or information, or about answering tough questions every day, including on the days when it wasn't always pleasant. It's been about telling the version of the truth according to the serial liar who sits in the Oval Office.
A purveyor of truth of information. Jen, you worked for the guy who claimed that the border was totally secure, that inflation was transitory, and that his son's laptop was Russian disinformation. The absolute audacity required to sit in an MS Now studio and lecture anyone on truth-telling is genuinely impressive.
I mean, she only briefed once or twice a week max. Most press secretaries brief 5 days a week, including when they're traveling.
Gee, I wonder why she didn't need to brief 5 days a week. Oh yeah, it's because Donald Trump is constantly engaging with the media directly. Everyone knows that President Trump gives the press corps more access in a week than President Biden gave them in a year. When the guy in charge never stops talking to reporters, dragging his press secretary out to the podium every single day is just redundant.
And who could forget the time she tried to explain away the weird discoloration and bandages on Trump's hands by saying they were the result of vigorous handshaking. Remember this?
As for the bandages on the hand, we've also given you an explanation for that in the past. The president is literally constantly shaking hands. The Oval Office is like Grand Central Terminal.
I mean.
So Dr. Jen Psaki here claims without proof that it is medically impossible to get bruises from shaking too many hands. But from a strictly medical perspective, yes, it is entirely possible. While the handshake explanation was widely mocked by political commentators, Dermatologists and medical professionals note that the physiology of aging skin combined with medication makes it a plausible scenario. So basically, when you combined paper-thin sun-damaged skin, fragile capillaries, a daily blood thinner, and the sheer volume of handshakes that a politician endures in a single day, the physical pressure of people squeezing the back of a hand can absolutely cause dark, sprawling purple bruises. Is that what happened here? I don't know, I'm not a doctor. But then again, neither is Jen Psaki. So Jen Psaki wasn't just upset about briefing schedules and hand bandages. No, she also had an absolute meltdown over who is allowed to sit in Caroline Leavitt's briefing room.
Sometimes she simply yelled at the real reporters in the room, and over the course of time, she filled the room with MAGA sycophants. Every day she began her briefings with a question from what she called the new media seat.
For those unfamiliar, the new media seat is a designated rotating chair created by the press office to give credentials to independent digital reporters, podcasters, and content creators, giving them a dedicated spot in the room and often the very first question. New media seat participants have included Mike Allen, the co-founder of Axios, Two Ways' Mark Halperin, Eli Lake from the Free Press, unbiased podcast host Jordan Berman, Tim Pool, host of Timcast IRL, Semaphore's Shelby Talbot, Andrew Egger from The Bulwark, and Jasmine Wright from Notice. And objectively, none of the aforementioned are considered MAGA podcasters, but Orange Woman Bad conveniently wants her audience to believe that the room was exclusively overrun by right-wing influencers and partisan cheerleaders.
The new media seat, where basically MAGA podcasters could enter the briefing room, and during periods of time where there were a lot of other things they could be asking about, they posed questions like this one.
Caroline, will you guys also consider releasing the president's fitness plan? He actually looks healthier than ever before. Healthier than he did 8 years ago, and I'm sure everybody in this room could agree. Is he working out with Bobby Kennedy? And is he eating less McDonald's?
I can confirm the president is in very good shape.
I mean, first of all, come on now. Come on now.
Look, to be fair, President Trump moves around better than most guys his age. Definitely better than his predecessor. Now, is asking if Trump is pumping iron with RFK Jr. an absurd question? 100%. But you can't champion freedom of the press and then demand a government filter on what questions reporters are permitted to ask.
But more importantly, that's real hard-hitting journalism there, isn't it? From those new media seats.
First off, fact check false. Kara Castronova from Lindell TV isn't a podcaster taking up a special designated new media chair. Hell, she's not even sitting down. But real hard-hitting journalism there, Red. Second, Jen Psaki complaining about journalistic standards while collecting a paycheck from MS Now is peak irony. Clean up your own network's editorial slant before lecturing others about what real journalism is supposed to look like.
And there were more and more and more of those people in the briefing room taking up more and more time and space in the briefing room and in the Oval Office.
Oh, the horror! Not other people taking up space! How dare independent media sit in the same folding chairs as the esteemed, totally unbiased journalists at CNN and the New York Times?
This is not what the briefing room is supposed to look like. This is not who is supposed to get oxygen in the White House press corps.
Who decided that, Jen? Who appointed you as the official gatekeeper of the First Amendment?
The room has massively changed since I was there. It's much more filled with people who are there to kind of applaud Donald Trump and people who are there to spit out the Republican given talking points than the room that I was working in.
As opposed to the totally impartial, objective room that Jen Psaki dealt with. You know, where reporters practically threw rose petals at the podium and asked what brand of ice cream Joe Biden was currently enjoying.
But Caroline Leavitt didn't want to engage in good faith with those reporters and their tough questions. And so instead, she did everything she could to reshape that briefing room into her own personal safe space where she rarely had to answer a tough question, hardly ever.
So on one hand, Jen Psaki is claiming that Caroline Leavitt rarely had to answer a tough question, hardly ever. But at the same time,
First of all, as you know well, but for anybody watching, there's still excellent journalists who are there to grill the White House, no matter who the press secretary is and who the president is in the room. It's just that they are a smaller percentage of people in the room.
So which one is it, Jen? Did Leavitt turn the briefing room into an impenetrable fortress where tough questions never got asked? Or was the room still full of fearless journalists attempting to hold the administration accountable? You can't claim both at the same time.
Sean Spicer, a former White House press secretary, was sometimes in the room asking the new press secretary questions.
Exactly.
Yeah? And
it becomes a larger percentage of the questions asked in the room. So therefore, people are not getting actual transparent information, or they're not able to rely on the journalists who are in the room to ask the questions that need to be asked.
The legacy media used to have a total monopoly on what questions got asked and what stories got covered. Now that the alternative media has broken through the doors, Jen and her former colleagues are terrified because they no longer control the narrative. And at the end of the day, Jen Psaki isn't worried about transparency, she's worried about control. Anyway, that's it for now. Head on over to my super cool merch store at don'twalkrun.shop. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel and hope to see you next time. If there is next time.